Imagine this. A satellite that's been silent for 60 years suddenly screams out a radio signal so powerful it outshone everything else in the sky. This isn't science fiction. This actually happened in 2024 when NASA's long-dead Relay 2 satellite came back to life for just 30 nanoseconds. But here's the mystery that has scientists scratching their heads. How did a zombie satellite send a message from beyond the grave? Last June, astronomers in Australia were just doing their regular job, scanning the sky with their massive radio telescope called ASCAP. It's basically 36 giant dish antennas all working together like a super-powered ear listening to space. Then suddenly, boom, they detected something that made them jump out of their chairs, an incredibly powerful burst of radio waves coming from inside our own galaxy. Now, radio bursts are like the fireworks of space. They're these intense blasts of radio waves that can release as much energy in a fraction of a second as our sun produces in 3 whole days. Usually, these cosmic fireworks come from galaxies far, far away. But this one was practically in our backyard, cosmically speaking. It was so close that the telescope couldn't even focus on it properly. Meet the culprit, Relay 2, a communication satellite that NASA launched way back in 1964 when your grandparents were probably still kids. This little space veteran was designed to help relay phone calls and TV signals across the ocean. Think of it like a cosmic telephone operator bouncing signals from one side of Earth to the other. But after just 3 years of service, both of its transponders failed, and it went completely silent in 1967. For nearly 6 decades, Relay 2 drifted through space like a metal ghost, no power, no signals, just a silent relic of the early space age. Scientists had pretty much forgotten about it, along with hundreds of other dead satellites cluttering up Earth's orbit. But then, on one ordinary day in June 2024, something extraordinary happened. This zombie satellite suddenly woke up and screamed. The signal lasted just 30 nanoseconds. That's 0.0000003 seconds. To put that in perspective, it's faster than the blink of an eye, faster than a lightning strike, faster than your brain can even process what happened. Yet in that impossibly brief moment, it was the brightest radio source in the entire sky. Imagine if a firefly suddenly blazed brighter than the sun for a split second. That's what this was like in radio waves. Dr. Clancy James, the lead scientist who discovered this cosmic mystery, said they initially thought they'd found something completely new, maybe a pulsar, which is like a cosmic lighthouse, or some other exotic space object. The team was buzzing with excitement. After all, discovering new things in space is what astronomers dream about. But when they traced the signal back to its source, they got an even bigger surprise. The signal came from exactly where Relay 2 was floating in space. This wasn't some distant alien civilization or exploding star. It was a piece of 1960s technology that had been dead longer than most people have been alive. But here's where it gets really weird. The signal didn't match any of the satellite's original systems. It's like finding your grandfather's old radio suddenly playing music in a language it was never designed to understand. So if Relay 2's communication systems have been dead since 1967, what could have caused this ghostly transmission? Scientists have 2 main theories, and both are pretty wild. Theory number 1, the satellite got smacked by a micrometeorite, basically a tiny space rock traveling at incredible speed. Let me show you what that might look like. When a micrometeorite hits a satellite, it's like a cosmic bullet impact. The collision can create a cloud of superhot plasma. That's like the 4th state of matter, even hotter than gas. This plasma cloud can act like a temporary antenna, converting the impact energy into radio waves. It's nature's way of turning a space collision into a radio broadcast. But many scientists think theory number 2 is more likely, electrostatic discharge, or ESD for short. You know that zap you get when you touch a doorknob after walking on carpet? Well, imagine that happening in space, but 1,000,000 times more powerful. Satellites can build up massive electrical charges as they orbit through Earth's magnetic field and get bombarded by solar particles. Relay 2 was built in the early 1960s with materials that we don't use anymore, materials that could hold way more electrical charge than modern satellites. After 60 years of drifting through space, collecting charge like a cosmic battery, it might have finally reached its breaking point. Then zap! All that stored electricity discharged in one massive burst, creating the radio signal astronomers detected. Amazed, think about it. This satellite has been circling Earth about 15 times every single day since 1964. That's over 300,000 orbits. Each orbit takes it through radiation belts, solar wind, and Earth's magnetic field. All that time, it might have been slowly charging up like the world's oldest capacitor, just waiting for the right moment to release all that energy. Professor Karen Aplin from the University of Bristol compared identifying the cause to detective work, except your crime scene is floating hundreds of miles above Earth. Both a micrometeorite impact and an electrostatic discharge would create similar radio signals. It's like trying to figure out if a window broke from a baseball or a rock. The result looks the same, but the cause was different. What makes this discovery extra special is that it wasn't aliens or some exotic space phenomenon. It was good old human technology doing something completely unexpected. ASCAPE, the telescope that caught the signal, is so sensitive it can detect radio waves billions of times fainter than what your cell phone emits. Yet Relay 2's burst was so powerful, it overwhelmed the telescope's ability to focus. This discovery opens up a whole new way of thinking about space debris. There are thousands of dead satellites orbiting Earth right now. Could any of them suddenly burst back to life? Each one is like a time capsule from a different era of space exploration. Some are from the 60s like Relay 2, others from the 80s, 90s, and beyond. They're all up there, silent. The scariest part? We almost missed this completely. The pulse lasted such a short time that if the telescope had been pointed even slightly differently, or if the computers had blinked at the wrong moment, we never would have known it happened. It makes you wonder how many other zombie satellites have been sending out ghostly signals that we've missed. Could space be full of these electronic whispers from the past? This isn't just cool science, it has real implications for our future in space. As we launch more and more satellites, understanding these discharge events becomes super important. Modern satellites have better protection against static buildup, but cheaper satellites might not. If a satellite can spontaneously emit such powerful signals, it could potentially interfere with communications or even damage nearby spacecraft. Amazed, the Australian team is now developing new techniques to detect and study these electrostatic discharges from space. They're essentially turning their radio telescope into a space weather monitoring system. By listening for these radio bursts, they might be able to track which old satellites are building up dangerous levels of charge and predict when they might discharge. Here's a fun fact. Relay 2 weighs about 400 pounds and looks like a giant spinning top covered in solar panels. When it was active, it could handle 300 two-way phone calls or one TV channel at a time. That might not sound like much today when we stream 4K videos on our phones, but in 1964, it was cutting-edge technology that helped connect the world. The satellite is currently orbiting at about 2,000 miles above Earth. That's about 8 times higher than the International Space Station. At that altitude, there's almost no atmosphere to slow it down, which means Relay 2 could keep circling our planet for hundreds more years. Will it send another signal? Will other dead satellites join the cosmic chorus? Only time will tell. What's really mind-blowing is that this zombie satellite used technology from before we even landed on the moon. Its circuits were made with components that would look ancient compared to what's in your smartphone. Yet somehow, after being baked by solar radiation and frozen by the cold of space 300,000 times, it managed to send one last message. Talk about building things to last. Thought for James and his team are already planning follow-up observations. They want to see if Relay 2 will speak again, or if this was truly its final goodbye. They're also checking if other vintage satellites might be capable of similar outbursts. Imagine if we could predict these events. We'd have a cosmic early warning system for zombie satellite awakings. This discovery is changing how we think about space archaeology. These old satellites aren't just junk. They're scientific instruments that can teach us about long-term effects of the space environment. Every dead satellite up there has been conducting an unintentional, decades-long experiment in material science. What other secrets might they reveal if we just know how to listen? The best part? This was discovered by accident. The team wasn't looking for zombie satellites. They were searching for mysterious fast radio bursts from distant galaxies. Instead, they found something much closer to home, but equally mysterious. It's like going fishing for tuna and catching a message in a bottle instead. Sometimes the universe's best surprises come when we're looking for something else entirely. The power of this burst is hard to comprehend. For those 30 nanoseconds, Relay 2 was broadcasting with the equivalent force of millions of cell phone towers combined. If our eyes could see radio waves, it would have been like a camera flash going off in space, brilliantly bright for an instant, then gone. No human-made signal was supposed to be that powerful coming from that location. Scientists are also excited because this could help us understand natural space phenomena better. If human-made objects can create such powerful bursts, maybe some mysterious signals we've attributed to exotic physics are actually just old satellites having electric tantrums. It's humbling to think that our space junk might be confusing our search for alien signals or new physics. The universe has a sense of humor. This story also highlights how international cooperation makes discoveries possible. Australian telescopes detected a signal from an American satellite, and scientists from around the world are working together to understand it. Space doesn't care about borders, and neither does science. When we work together, we can solve mysteries that no single country could tackle alone. There's something poetic about Relay 2's story. Launched at the dawn of the space age, it served faithfully for 3 years, then drifted silently for nearly 6 decades. Just when everyone had forgotten about it, it sent out one brilliant flash, like a cosmic farewell. Was it saying goodbye? Was it reminding us it's still there? We may never know, but it certainly got our attention. The technology to detect this signal is incredible too. ASCAP's 36 dishes work together like a giant compound eye, similar to how a fly sees in many directions at once. Each dish is 12 meters across. That's about as wide as a basketball court. When they all work together, they can see huge swaths of the sky and catch fleeting signals that older telescopes would miss completely. But here's a sobering thought. For every zombie satellite we detect, how many stay silent forever? Relay 2 might be special because of its old materials, or it might just be lucky. There are graveyards of satellites in various orbits, each one slowly degrading, building charge, or getting peppered by micrometeorites. Space isn't empty, it's full of our history, floating silently above us. The timing of this discovery is perfect. As private companies launch mega constellations of thousands of new satellites, understanding these discharge events becomes crucial. We need to know if old satellites can interfere with new ones, or if these bursts could damage sensitive equipment. It's not just about science anymore, it's about protecting our growing space infrastructure. Students and amateur radio operators are now getting involved too. Some are building equipment to listen for similar bursts from other old satellites. You don't need a giant radio telescope. Even simple antennas might catch strong bursts if you're listening at the right time. Who knows? The next zombie satellite detection might come from someone's backyard. This is citizen science at its finest. Amazed, the electromagnetic environment around Earth is like an invisible ocean of signals. GPS satellites, TV broadcasts, cell phones, Wi-Fi, they all create waves in this ocean. Dead satellites drift through these waves like ghost ships, occasionally sparking to life when conditions are just right. Relay 2 reminded us that even in death, these mechanical pioneers can still surprise us. Some scientists are now proposing satellite autopsies, missions to capture and study these old satellites to understand what 60 years in space does to different materials. Imagine what we could learn. Which materials hold charge best? How do micrometeorite impacts accumulate over time? These zombie satellites are like time capsules full of scientific data we never intended to collect. Fun fact, if Relay 2 could talk, it would have amazing stories. It witnessed the moon landing, the end of the Cold War, the rise of the internet, and the birth of social media, all while floating silently above. It's seen Earth change from analog to digital, watched cities grow and lights spread across continents. Nostalgic, for one brief moment, this silent witness found its voice again. The investigation continues. Scientists are combing through data from other telescopes to see if they caught the same burst from different angles. They're also checking historical records. Has Relay 2 spoken before and we just didn't notice? With modern AI and data analysis, we can search through decades of observations looking for similar phantom signals. The hunt for zombie satellites has officially begun. This discovery also raises ethical questions about space debris. If old satellites can suddenly emit powerful signals, should we be more careful about what we abandon in orbit? Some experts are calling for better tracking and even decommissioning signals, ways to ensure dead satellites stay truly dead. As space gets more crowded, zombie satellites could become a real problem, not just a curiosity. Amazed, the sheer odds of catching this signal are astronomical. It lasted 30 nanoseconds out of the 1.8 billion seconds that have passed since Relay 2 died. That's like catching a single raindrop in a storm that lasted 60 years. The fact that we detected it at all shows how far our technology has come. Our telescopes are now sensitive enough to catch cosmic whispers we couldn't even dream of hearing before. What if Relay 2's burst was just the beginning? Some scientists theorize that as satellites age and materials degrade, these events might become more common. We could be entering an era of satellite storms where old spacecraft randomly light up the radio sky. Future astronomers might need to maintain a zombie satellite forecast, just like we have weather forecasts. The materials science aspect is fascinating too. Relay 2 was built with 1960s plastics, metals, and ceramics that have been marinating in hard radiation for 6 decades. These materials have been bombarded by cosmic rays, baked by the sun, and frozen in shadow thousands of times. They're probably nothing like they were when launched, transformed by space into something we've never studied before. Amateur astronomers are now joining the hunt. Some are organizing zombie satellite watch groups, coordinating observations to catch the next ghostly signal. They're sharing data, comparing notes, and building detection networks. It's like storm chasing, but for electromagnetic bursts from dead satellites. Anyone with the right equipment and patience could make the next big discovery. Relay 2's brief awakening reminds us that space exploration leaves permanent marks. Every satellite we launch becomes part of Earth's extended environment forever. They're like artificial moons, circling endlessly, carrying the dreams and technology of their era. Even in death, they're monuments to human curiosity and our desire to reach beyond our planet. The really wild part, this could revolutionize how we search for alien signals. If our own satellites can create mysterious bursts, we need to be extra careful when analyzing signals from deep space. What if some alien signals were actually zombie satellites we forgot about? SETI scientists are now creating databases of all human-made objects that could produce confusing signals. Thanks, Relay 2. Here's something that'll blow your mind. When Relay 2 launched, computers were the size of entire rooms and had less power than your calculator. The satellite circuits were hand-soldered. Its programs were hardwired, not software. Yet this ancient tech managed to send a signal detected by one of the most advanced telescopes ever built. It's like a message from the past to the future. Scientists are now wondering if different satellite materials create different kinds of bursts. Could we identify a satellite by its electromagnetic fingerprint? Maybe aluminum satellites spark differently than titanium ones, or 1960s plastics discharge uniquely compared to modern composites. We might be able to create a field guide to zombie satellites based on their burst characteristics. The space environment is harsher than most people realize. Temperatures swing from -250 to 200, with 500-degree difference, adds in radiation that would kill a human in minutes, micrometeorites traveling at 17,000, and atomic oxygen that eats away at surfaces. The fact that Relay 2 survived all this and managed to send a signal is honestly incredible. This discovery has sparked new interest in space archaeology missions. Some companies are proposing to collect and study these vintage satellites before they're lost forever. Imagine museums with exhibits of actual flown satellites showing how space weather aged them. Future generations could learn about the dawn of the space age by studying these cosmic artifacts firsthand. Thoughtful, every piece of space junk tells a story. Relay 2 was part of America's push to connect the world through satellite communication. Its sisters, Relay 1 and Telstar, helped broadcast the first live transatlantic television feeds. Nostalgic, these satellites brought the world closer together, letting people see events happening on other continents in real time for the first time in human history. The phantom signal also makes us wonder, what else is happening in orbit that we don't know about? There are secret military satellites, classified experiments, and decades of space activities we can only guess at. Some of those classified satellites from the Cold War are probably still up there, slowly degrading. Could they also send out zombie signals? What secrets might they accidentally reveal? The best part about this discovery is that it was pure chance meeting preparation. ASCAP was built to study the distant universe, but its designers made it sensitive enough to catch anything interesting. The team was ready to investigate unusual signals, even if they came from unexpected sources. It shows that in science, you have to be ready for surprises. The universe rarely follows our scripts. Amazed, just think about the journey of that radio pulse. It started as either a cosmic impact or a massive static discharge on a 60-year-old satellite. The energy converted to radio waves, traveled through space at the speed of light, hit Earth's atmosphere, and reached ASCAP's dishes. There, it was converted to electrical signals, digitized, processed by computers, and finally recognized by human minds as something extraordinary. Thoughtful, Relay 2's awakening is also a reminder of our responsibility to future generations. The satellites we launch today will be orbiting Earth long after we're gone. What legacy are we leaving in orbit? Will future scientists thank us for the scientific opportunities or curse us for the debris? As we plan missions to Mars and beyond, we need to think about the very long-term consequences of what we put in space. Research teams are now developing zombie satellite detectors, specialized equipment designed to catch these brief bursts. They're using AI to sift through massive amounts of data, looking for signals that last mere nanoseconds. Some are even experimenting with quantum sensors that could detect even fainter emissions. The ghost hunt is becoming high-tech. Imagine if Relay 2 could see Earth now compared to 1964. Back then, most of the planet was dark at night. Only major cities glowed. Now, entire continents blaze with light. The internet connects billions of people, and thousands of satellites fill the skies. In its final flash, did Relay 2 see how much the world has changed? Was it saying, "Look how far you've come," or "Don't forget where you started"? As we speak, Relay 2 continues its eternal orbit, silent once again. Will it ever speak again? Scientists are watching, waiting, hoping to catch another glimpse of the ghost in the machine. Maybe in another 60 years it'll send one more signal. Or maybe that 30 nanosecond burst was its final word. Either way, it reminded us that in space, nothing is ever truly dead, just waiting for the right moment to surprise us. So what do you think caused Relay 2's ghostly signal? Was it a micrometeorite impact or a massive static discharge? Let us know in the comments below. And if this story of zombie satellites and cosmic mysteries fascinated you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to detect the next ghost signal from space. Until next time, keep looking up and stay curious.